because it's that time of the year, the best time of the year. Water's getting warmer. Pre-spawn is in full swing. Spawn will start happening within the next 2 weeks. So the last few weeks of April, first 2 weeks of May, are when there's the highest concentration of shallow bass. During the spawn, it gets tricky though, because they're not really in the mood to eat. But I think one of my favorite pre-spawn patterns is just a simple crease fly. So that's what we'll start with today. Smaller profile. The reservoirs I fish have a lot of smelt, and when they die, they tend to just float on the surface, and the bass will pick them up. You don't need a lot of action. A slimmer profile is the best. So that's what we'll go with, little slim, little crease fly. And we're gonna put the thread just as a base to glue our foam, because this is, oh no, we need a tail. Jumping the gun here, jumping the gun. Let's put on a little tail. Do a little tail. Usually I do a little buck tail. For this one though, I think a feather tail would be nice. We have some, I don't want a huge tail. I'm thinking maybe just the base of this with a little bit of flash around it would be good. Make it a little bit poofy. Maybe I have a feather already cut. Yeah, this one looks good. So we'll take some of these barbs and then we'll tie them in. And then we'll work some ice stub around the barbs. And it'll be slightly longer than the barbs. So here's the ice stub pearl. The fibers are quite long. So we'll work a little bit of pearl around those feathers. And then we'll do some more feather and some gray. A little bit of gray, ice stub gray. But, just straight bucktail is also a good tail. Work that around a bit. And then we'll do a little bit of gray. If we can find it, holy mackerel, where is it? Where's the gray? And we'll do a little light olive. Skip the gray, a little light olive. Just a bit. Now we can tie off. you'll want to pick that out as well. The eye stub gets kind of caught up on itself. So now we can whip it. And one more. It's not necessary. Okay. So this is just a little piece of 2mm foam. And we're gonna want, it's gonna be a 2-piece construction. The belly section, and then the top section. And just the length of the hook up to the bend is enough. But you'll want some, you'll want enough foam so it can glue on itself. So I think that's good. Let's go ahead and add foam, add the glue to the foam, not to the hook. It makes it much more manageable. You can add glue as you go as well. So I'm just spreading it around with a toothpick. And then we will, it's not the best cut, place it in the middle and start squeezing it up. Yeah, and so the foam is now on itself, plus it's on the thread base, so there's no way it's gonna spin. But it is crowding the eye of the hook, which is not great. There's enough. If that happens, you can get a bodkin and burn out the eye of the hook. It's not a huge deal. Okay, and then the second piece of foam, this is where you can get a little bit more creative in terms of the size. You'll want it to cover the side, but you could go slightly over to create a little hood to get more of a pop. But I don't, that's not necessary for me. So I think that's good for the front, but the back, we can angle it. The more foam you have, the better it'll float. So if you really wanted a high floater, you'd keep all of that extra in the back. But we'll take some of it off for aesthetics at an angle. So we'll knock off the back at an angle. And then let's size it again. Yeah, that's good. I want to pinch, I don't want the back flared, so we will have to kind of try to pinch it, but you can't add glue all the way to this end because it'll start soaking into the tail, and the tail will then be completely stiff, which is not what we want. So to start, we'll just add the glue to the front. And move it around, and then slightly to the back, but we might have to add more. And then let's place very carefully on top. That's good. Let's squeeze down the sides. That's good. And let's try to squeeze that back so it's sitting It's not flaring out too much. All right. There's a little gap on the belly, so we'll have to glue that in. We can add the super glue to the toothpick and just kind of coat it on the side. And we'll do one side at a time. It doesn't need to sit flush, but over time, that'll be the weak point, and it'll start coming undone. So just shoring it up right now will give you a little bit longer lasting fly. This particular design isn't supposed to give you a lot of action. It's that profile resting on top of the water. That's what you want. And then little twitches, obviously extremely castable. Okay. That's good. Let's go ahead and try to clear that eye. We'll get our bodkin heated up. And then I'm just gonna run it through the eye. Yeah, so now it's clear. All right, the paint jobs. I'm not a very good finisher of the patterns. Before you put on the eyes, you would want to paint, and I just use nail polish, which smells terrible. But I like this silvery nail polish for the belly. But some airbrush or Sharpie, that would be the way to go. And not on the tail, but a little bit on the side. And then another nice feature would be a red throat. That's also, I don't know if it helps with the fishing, but I like it, having a little red throat. And then we'll do a darker color up top. Not that it matters. The belly is the most important part. Okay, that's enough. All right. Let's try to do the red throat. For this, you want that belly layer to be dry, a little bit dry at least. And then it's hard to get a straight line. So what I do is usually just paint on the stick and then try to press it onto the fly. think that's about as good as I can do. Next would be eyeballs. Eyeballs don't really matter for this pattern, but if you were gifting it or something like that, you'd want to add some eyes, and you could clear coat it. After a few fish, it gets kind of chewed on and imperfect, and I think that's when it's at its best. This is one of the patterns. The more you fish it, the better it gets. Old raggedy crease flies, I think, are fish better than the brand spanking new ones. I don't know why. Proven. It might just be that particular size or shape, but you get it right, and that's, I think, what matters, that profile. Sometimes you make them too big, too long, too wide. The ones that get eaten, pay attention to those, because you'd want to replicate that size and shape. It has a little flash, that's all you need. Okay, that tail's not great, but that's about the size of the smelt. In California, they call them wakasagi. Japan has the smelt. Korea also has the smelt in the highland reservoirs. So that's what we're imitating, is that smelt. All right, well, let's take it off. We'll let it dry and maybe add eyes in a little bit. I'm gonna stick it outside. Time enough for... Oh, we got some comments. Would I say I'm a masturbator? Not a masturbator, an amateur baiter. Yes, ridiculous comments. I'm gonna come back in a few hours, but I'm trying to think of what else I need. The Lano bug is also a good pattern. The diver is a good springtime pattern, all small, in smaller sizes. I'm trying to, Lano, how do I do the Lano? Maybe even smaller than this. Maybe we do the Lano on a trout hook. The Lano is interesting because people are super defensive on how you tie it. If you post a Lano bug online and you don't follow the precise steps, someone from the Lano bug army will come out and get you. The Lano is a river in Texas, Lano River, and the bug is a foam pattern. I'm trying to think of how you tie it. I can't really remember. I know there's a feather tail. So I'm just gonna freestyle it how I imagine it will look. What I'm imitating isn't amphibian, it would be more of an insect. but the subtlety is what I like. You know, when you throw a lot of gaudy, big patterns all day long, a subtle pattern, small subtle pattern, sometimes is the way to go. So we'll palmer this, we'll wrap this hackle, and then we'll swoop it back. And that'll be our little tail. I want it black. We'll spiral wrap a little black, and then we have to tie in kind of a shell. I'm going to notch out a tie-in point, and I think we fold back over and then around, and I think that's the basic, kind of like a gurgler. So we'll do the tie-in point. A little bit of super glue there would be a good call. And then we'll do our spiral wrapped piece. We have to be, there's not, the hook gap on this hook is quite small, so we can't have too much excess. I'm going to add the glue to the spiral foam, just a little section at a time, and we'll wrap it as clean as we can. There's a little taper, which is fine. The butt is now wider than the head. I'm not too worried about it. We'll tie that off. The hook eye got some glue, and then there's some glue building up on the body. Maybe the Lano book you use like chenille underneath, maybe. Then you would want to fold this over. And then we do kind of a wing, little wing action. What material to use for the wing. Maybe we'll do polypropylene. Brush this out. We'll double back over first before we brush it out. Ooh, Nelly. Brush it out a bit. Tie that in. I think deer hair or some kind of hair is what they normally use. One thing I'd know is too many thread wraps, because this is gonna show. And using a orange thread would actually be good for this, kind of like a cicada coloration, but be careful with how many thread wraps you're doing. Chop off the wing. we'll fold this back over, creating a little head. Oh, maybe we should have done legs first. We'll do legs now. We'll do some legs. I have purple here, this is the first thing I saw, so we'll just do purple. Not that it matters. Legs on each side. There's one side. Oops. There's the other side. One more wrap. And then I think you're going to want to finish it. Gotta thread that whip around those legs. If you can. Okay, the legs aren't sitting very well. Let's make sure that hook eye is exposed if we fold that flap back. And then you notch out that foam back. Maybe the Lano doesn't have a tail, and then you can see the thread. There's thread exposed on the tail, so that's not good. Thread exposed. You can't avoid the thread being exposed here. You could color it with marker, but it doesn't matter. I don't think it matters. So let's shorten up those front legs a bit. We'll keep the back legs long and dangly. You could knot those as well, kind of to have them kind of angled back. One is longer than the other. I think that's about all she wrote. Okay, we'll stop there. We'll reconvene in a few hours after I'm done working. Yeah, goofy pattern, but good to have a few of these in the box. Yeah, the tail is whack. Not a Lano bug, by the way, something else. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and turn this off. I'll see you guys in a few hours.